Warning, the following podcast has been classified as insanely lucrative. Listener discretion is advised.
If I can sell 3,000 units per month of a product and I can only make $5 profit on it, why wouldn't I do that, right? I mean, that's an extra $15,000 a month. I'm not going to turn it away.
Your attention, please. Listening to the AM/PM podcast may cause recurring revenue streams and unfair advantages over your competitors. Other side effects may include fatter wallets, fired bosses, and longer vacations. Listen at your own risk. Here's your host, seven-figure entrepreneur and online marketing madman, Manny Coates. Manny Coates.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the AM/PM podcast. My name is Manny Coates, and I will be your host. And you are listening to the show that discusses the generation of recurring revenue 24 hours per day during the AM and the PM, hence the name of the podcast. And guess what, guys? I was just watching The Family Guy, probably my most favorite animated show on television, and I was making money while doing that. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. So let's get down to business. This is now episode number 10 in the continuing series on how to get your product launched on Amazon. And we started in episode 5, so if you haven't gone back and listened to those, I urge you to do so. Episode 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Today, we're going to be talking about reviews, review services, how to use those to get your launch started. We're then going to be talking about pricing, how you should be pricing your products, when you want to undercut your competitors, when you want to start creeping that price back up. And we want to talk about goals, setting sales goals. You know, how many units do you need to be selling on a monthly basis before you start splitting your concentration, before your focus is shifted and you start adding another product, or you're looking to add another product? You know, what should those be? What do I use? So there's a lot to cover in this episode. It's going to probably be close to a 45-minute, 50-minute episode. So let's get started. So a buddy of mine asked me just yesterday, he said, "Manny, what price range should I be shooting for when I'm selling my products?" Now, he didn't actually ask me in that accent. He's going to kill me. He essentially wanted to know, what price he should sell his product. He was buying it for a few dollars each. Just probably similar to what most people buy their products at. I would say the majority of people buy products off Alibaba somewhere between $2 and $10, right? So he was a few dollars. And my answer to him was essentially another question. I said, "How much do you want to earn off of each sale?" He said he wasn't sure. So let me tell you what I look for. A general rule of thumb is that the product should allow for somewhere around a $10 profit when all is said and done, right? That's after all your fees. And we're talking about everything. The product cost, the shipping cost to get it out here, all the labeling, the Amazon fees, your pay-per-click fees, everything. Now, sometimes that's hard to do, right? Especially if you've got a lot of competition. And I will deviate from that $10 profit if I can make up for it with volume. So, if I can sell 3,000 units per month of a product and I can only make $5 profit on it, why wouldn't I do that, right? I mean, that's an extra $15,000 a month. I'm not going to turn it away just because I'm only making $5 in profit per product. Does that make sense? So, but the goal should be $10 profit per product for me, because I'm probably not going to be selling 3,000 units. And we're going to talk about what my initial goals were for each product, and probably what I think, most people can shoot for in terms of daily sales volume and goals before putting their efforts into the next product. So let's revisit what my friend asked. He was asking, how much should he be selling it for? So if I'm looking for a $10 profit, he's got to figure out what all of his costs are. If it's costing him $3 for the product and $3 to get it shipped out from China and get it to Amazon, that's $6, right? And then if Amazon is charging another $6 between all of their fees that they charge, FBA fulfillment fees and their 15% referral fee, it adds up. we're at $12. So if he wants to make a $10 profit, a $22 price point seems about right. Now, clearly, he has to adjust that based on competition and what his offering is relative to theirs, how they look compared to his. I mean, if their pages are, or their product pages are just brutal, they look terrible, and he's smoking them in every way, then he can actually sell for a higher price point. And I actually did that on one of my products. I was $8 higher than the competition, and I still sold out on one of my product lines. So that said, the $10 profit line, margin of $10 would change if I'm selling a more expensive product. Okay, so if the product, for example, is a $60 product, it's selling on Amazon for $60, that's what I sell it for, then I'm not going to be looking for a $10 profit margin. I'm going to be looking for something more substantial. And this makes sense because more than likely, if it's a $60 product, you're just not selling as many units per month. It costs you way more in terms of actually buying the product and getting it stocked at Amazon. So, you've got your cash is tied up longer. So you want to make your return on your investment a lot quicker. So if it's a $60 product, maybe you're shooting for a $20 or $25 profit, maybe more, maybe less, depending on everything else, right? Typically, I would look for products that are somewhere between, at least at the very bottom end, $19 to about $50 in the price range. So $19 to $50, I think that's the sweet spot. I mean, the sweetest spot would probably be right around the $29 range. And actually, I have products in that price range. At $29, think about this. I can usually still buy products in this price range if I'm selling it for $29, right around $6. Okay, it'll get express air shipped out for the same price or lower. So if I'm paying $6, I can get it out here for $6 or less. So just do the numbers really quick, and you can see. I mean, let's say it's $6 for the product, $4 to get it out here. That's $10. If we're selling it for $29, you're roughly going to be somewhere between $7 and $8 for Amazon fees. Let's just say $8. We'll round it up, right? So $8 plus the original $10, we're at $18. So if we're selling it for $29 flat, we're making an $11 profit. That's pretty solid. That's above that $10 threshold that I'm looking for. Now, keep in mind, this does not include any of the pay-per-click fees, right? So you have to factor that in. You have to see how many sales you're generating from the pay-per-click advertising. That's shown as an ACOS, an ACOS, that's advertising cost of sales. But yeah, you've got to factor that in. So, I mean, if you're generating sales and it's costing you an additional $3 in pay-per-click advertising to get each of these sales, that's a cost. Factor that in. Okay, so I was talking about the sweet spots, right? I said $29.95 or $29.99, somewhere around there, $27. A lot of people like to end things in 7. I know I do. But why would I choose a product to be right around that $29 mark? Well, here's what I've figured out. And this is something that I've used a lot in the past when I did a ton of online sales off of Amazon. And I've realized that when you're dealing with prices that are under $30, it's almost always an impulse buy. Okay, so with Amazon, for example, and I'll use myself as the example here. If I go to Amazon and I buy something that's $24 or $19, $27, whatever, something in that range, right? Anything under $30. It's an impulse buy for the most part. I won't do that much research on it. I'll do just enough to know that I want it, and then I'll order it. And honestly, I can't tell you how many times the product hasn't been what I wanted. For some reason or another, I need to return it. Okay, I got to get a refund. But I'm busy, right? I'm sure this has happened to you. You get busy and it's like, well, you know what? I'll get to this later because I've got to go online. I've got to set up the refund. I've got to get the product, put it in the box. I've got to slap the label on it, go through all the motions. I just don't want to do that. So what happens? 30 days go by, more than 30 days. Then I remember about it and I'm past that window, the return window. So I'm stuck with it. Not a big deal though, right? Now, let's imagine that the product was something more expensive. Let's say it was an $89 item, whatever it is, right? Let's just say it's $89. I can tell you almost for certain, I'm going to spend the time to make sure that product gets returned within that 30-day window. It's just a psychological trigger. I would definitely do it for something more expensive, probably anything over $30. I'm going to pay more attention to it. I think most people are like that. So if you can keep your price points below the $30 range, then you should have a lower return rate. It's just something that I've seen. It's something that when talking to people is just common. It just happens. And in addition to the lower return rate, you're going to get more sales, right? I mean, we're talking about impulse buyers. So if you're buying something at $24, you really don't put that much time and effort into researching it typically. Or at least I don't. It's like, it looks cool, boom, I buy it. If it's an $80 product, I'm going to spend a lot more time researching all variations of this product. Who's selling it, what versions there are of it, what people are writing about it. It's just a lot more time. And I might put it off. I might, be like, I'll come back to it tomorrow. If it's something that's cheap, if it's a $19 product, boom, add to cart. I'll just add it and order it. So if you can keep your price point below that $30 price, you should just have generally a lot more orders and a lot less refunds as well. It's a perfect marriage. Okay, so I notice almost everybody has their pricing at something 99, right? $19.99, $29.99. I don't know why. I always try to go for a 7, so I'll be 27, and it's usually 95 cents. I always end it at 95. It's just a habit that I do. I figure if there's two products similar to mine and they're at, let's say they're at $27.99, I'll be at $27.95. I know it doesn't make that much of a difference, but it's just what I do. It differentiates me. But $27 to most people is, again, a different trigger than a $29.99 product. They rounded up the $30, where with 27, not so much. So it's a little trick. I know this was a big thing way back in the day with online marketing over 10 years ago. You had guys, I don't remember who they were. I don't remember if they were Frank Kern or who it was back in the day, but they essentially were saying, end your pricing with 7s. And sure enough, all of their products that they were selling at the time ended with a 7. I think there was a study or something that was focused around this. I don't recall what it was. So I do try to do that. It's just an old habit, and I try to get my pricing. If I can sell it for $17 versus $19 and still make my profit margins that I want, I'll do that. So I think it's important that we kind of go over, once again, all the little pricing details that will add up, right? Because a lot of people just don't think about it. They go, oh, hey, the product cost me $4 and the shipping's going to be this, and so I can make this much profit, and boom, they're done. And honestly, all these little fees can add up, right? And then before you know it, you've got a bunch of product, you've got 1,000 units, 2,000, however many units you ordered in inventory, and you're not making any money. So let's go over this. We have the cost of the product itself, right? Then you have the cost of shipping it out to your country, wherever you are, okay? Then you have the cost of shipping it from wherever you shipped it to. Let's say you shipped it to your house or to your place of business, to Amazon. That's assuming you didn't ship it directly to Amazon. You have to factor in the cost of labeling, assuming that wasn't as included as part of the manufacturing price. You have to figure in FNSKUs if you're going to be doing those yourself, or if you're going to have Amazon do those. There's a fee for that. If you're actually sending the product in to the U.S. and having it inspected first, there's a number of inspection centers that you can send them to where they'll make sure your order is Amazon ready, so to speak. It's got all the right labels, everything's Amazon approved, so to speak, before it goes. You have to pay for those fees. There's inspection fees and so forth. Did you send the product to the individual warehouses, or are you sending everything to one Amazon warehouse? In which case, they are going to have to take that order and then redistribute it to all of their other warehouses. And then they're going to charge you a fee for every single unit that they send out. So that's another cost that a lot of people don't factor in. Have you factored in the review copies of the products that you're going to be giving out or heavily discounting? And if you haven't sold any yet, you don't actually know what your pay-per-click conversion is going to be. So it's hard to estimate what that's going to be. But you got to leave, you've got to have a buffer in there. Leave 10 to 20% for pay-per-click advertising. If you can get it down to 10% or lower, you're usually doing pretty good. Everybody's different. Some people can be at 10% and still be losing money. Other people can be at 20% and they could be making money. So you're going to have to factor that in. What about some of the other things that are outside of the product details, like creating a website for your brand? Unless you can do that yourself, you're going to have to hire somebody to do that. So there's a cost there. If you're doing any kind of trademark registration, there's a cost there. If your product comes in poly bags and it's over a certain size, if it's over 5 inches, you're going to have to put stickers on it, the suffocation labels, right? So you're going to have to pay somebody to apply those, to print those and apply them, unless you're doing that yourself. So that's a cost. And then you just have all the Amazon fees, right? Their FBA fees and their 15% referral fee. It's typically 15%. I believe it's different for some categories. I don't sell in any categories that are not 15%, so I'm not super well versed on which ones those are. But I mean, you've got a crazy amount of fees when it's all said and done. So you just want to make sure that you've gone through everything and that you're actually going to be profitable when it's all said and done. Now, there's an Amazon FBA revenue calculator that will show you what Amazon's actually going to charge you, with all of their fees. I'm going to link that in the show notes so you can just go there, select your category, fill in the details, and then you can figure everything out. You can factor in your manufacturing costs and everything else. Okay, whew, we got that all out of the way. Okay, so now you should have a price point for your product. You figured that part out, right? You've calculated all your costs. You know what you're going to sell it for. So now we're ready to actually launch this product. But one of the main ways of expanding and growing your business is to run pay-per-click advertising through Amazon to drive traffic to your product page so that people will buy your product. Okay, so this does two things. First of all, when you first start out, you don't have any kind of search presence. Okay, what I mean by that is when you're first starting out, all of your competitors are going to outrank you for all the keywords, generally speaking. Okay, you don't have any history. Amazon doesn't know anything about you. So if you're selling a widget and someone types in, a blue widget or even just the word widget, they're not going to see you because you don't have any sales. You don't have any. You're new. So what you have to do is you have to build up your authority. You've got to get sales on your product. Okay, so it's a catch-22. How do you get sales if nobody can find you? Well, the answer is pay-per-click advertising. All right, we're going to talk about that in the next episode, but you're going to be driving pay-per-click advertising to get sales. But even if you're driving pay-per-click advertising and they see your ad on the first page, they're not really going to want to buy your product if you don't have any reviews, any ratings, right? There's no stars on your product. You've done this before, right? You go and you look for something on Amazon and you see a bunch of companies that come up for that particular product or something similar. And then a bunch of them just don't have any reviews. It's like nobody's ever bought from them. You don't buy them, right? You skip that one. You go to somebody who's got ratings, a 5-star rating. They've got 20 reviews or 100 reviews or however many it is. So that's the first thing. We've got to get reviews. We've got to get ratings on our product. We've got to do that so that people will buy our product when they actually land on the product page. Okay? It's social proof is what it is. Okay? So how do we do that? Well, the old way was to ask your friends and family to review your product. Okay? You can still do this, but here's my thoughts on this. There are only so many times that I want to ask my friends or my family to review products. I don't want to wear out my welcome card, right? They're friends and family. You don't want to keep bugging them to get your product. They're always going to say yes, but they might not want that product. They're just doing it because they're friends of yours or family. Honestly, if I'm asking them, I feel like I'm bugging them. So I don't like to do it. So that said, Amazon's terms of service also don't really want you using friends and family. Okay? Because they feel that it's rank manipulation. It's not a genuine review if you have your brother or your sister review your product. Because there's no way, no matter how bad the product is, that they're going to review your product badly. It's going to get a glowing review, right? No matter how bad it is. So because it's fake, Amazon doesn't allow it. You're getting a fake review that's going to increase your conversions, which is rank manipulation. So just be careful with friends and family. There's also people that will teach you that you should create your own review club. So they're going to tell you to go to Facebook and create a page or a group, and you're going to be driving traffic to that and building it up. And that way, eventually you have enough people within this group that you can use to review a new product when you come out with it. You just have to give them the discount and ask them to review your product in exchange for that discount. So it's a cool idea. I like it, but for me, it's just a huge time suck. I just don't have that kind of time to build that up. I'm all about efficiency right now, and I know long term it's probably something that I should do, I would imagine. But right now, it's just easier to use a review service. And I'm going to talk about those right now because they save you just a lot of time. I won't say they save you money. If you want to save money, then you build up your own review club or your, I don't know what you would call it, but basically people that will review your products every time it comes out in exchange for a discount. But that's exactly what these review services are. The only difference is you're actually paying to use those services. The premise is pretty simple. These services have thousands of people in their network that will essentially buy your product and then review your product. So they're going to buy your product at a heavily discounted price. You're going to be providing coupons, or they're going to get it for free. And then their agreement with this service is that if they get these discounts, they'll actually go out and review the product. Now, there's no guarantee that the people who redeem these coupon codes and get your product for free or for a discount, that they'll actually leave a review. And these services, they can't enforce that because that's against Amazon's terms of service to require a user to leave a review. So what I have seen typically, and through talking to other people, is that most of these services will generally get about 70 to 75% a rate of people that will actually review the product once they purchased it. There's some other places that are cheaper that have much lower numbers. I've actually experienced those. I don't want to mention any names at this point, but the percentages were not very good. So for me, I think it's a pretty good option, right? I mean, you're able to pay the service, get some stuff going, and you're done. Now, it's not cheap. A lot of these services charge you a few dollars per product in addition to all your regular costs. So they're saying, hey, you give this product away for free, and for every product you give away for free on our network, we're going to charge you $3. I'm using that as an example. The prices vary. So if you want to give away 50 units of a product and it's $3, it would be, let's say, $150 just to give away those units, plus all your normal costs associated with the production of your product, the Amazon fees, and so forth. Okay? Now, when using these services, it's important to understand that Amazon is going to require that these people include a disclaimer in the review. Okay, so at the bottom of their review, or actually it doesn't have to be the bottom, anywhere in the review, the reviewer has to say that the product was offered at a discount in exchange for an honest review, because otherwise it's not a genuine review. It isn't a genuine review, technically. It's supposed to be, but they are getting the product at a discount, so it has to be mentioned. And you'll notice that if you go in and you look at your competitors' products, a lot of times if you look at the newer reviews, you'll see that at the bottom there, it'll say exactly that from the reviewer, that they got it at a discount in exchange for an honest review. So I want to be clear about something here. These services don't mean, or using the services don't mean that you're going to get a 5-star review for the people that actually do review your product. You might get a 1-star. I mean, that's not typical, but there's no guarantee that you're going to get all 5 stars. You're supposed to get honest reviews. That's the whole idea of the service, and that's why Amazon still allows it. But let's be honest here. If your product is terrible, expect to see a review that is going to align with the quality of that product. So there you go. Those are the options. Use a review service. I would stay away from using friends and family unless you don't care about bugging them. And I personally don't do the Facebook review club type stuff, building it up. And I know it probably doesn't take a lot of time. You're probably saying, Manny, it only takes 10 to 15 minutes to set this up on Facebook. Probably, but maybe you're faster than I am. I know it doesn't take a long time to do, this one thing or another thing, 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there. But, when I have 30 things to do in a day for a business and each one only takes 10 minutes, that's 300 minutes in a day worth of small stuff to do. No, thanks, man. I don't want that. I want to simplify my life. You should simplify your life. So just remember, 80% of your results are going to come from 20% of your efforts if you do things intelligently. So, if you're spending just tons and tons of time on building up little things, you're going to, at the end of the day, wonder what was done. So use your time wisely. Quit the grind, as I call it. So anyways, which review service should you use? It's up to you. Just pick one, check them out, contact them, see what the price points are. Some of them are pretty inexpensive, a couple bucks. The less expensive they are, usually the higher upfront fee they have to get going. They'll have like some kind of an initiation fee or a setup fee. Some places have monthly fees that you pay whether you use them or not. The ultimate goal here for the reviews is to build up those ratings. You want people to come to your product page and see that you have 5 stars so that they'll be way more likely to actually hit that buy button. Okay, so the more you have, the better. So that's the goal, is to initially get them as quickly as possible. Also, as people start buying your product, it's going to increase your search rankings for specific keywords, especially if they're finding your product through certain keywords and then they're buying at that time. That keyword phrase that they use to find your product is actually going to move up in the ranks, the search ranks. So the next time someone uses that exact same search term, it's easier to find you. Instead of on page 20, you might be on page 3. Eventually, you hope to be on page 1. I hope that makes sense. So I'll shoot typically to get about 5 to 10 reviews, and then after that, I'll turn on my pay-per-click advertising and drive traffic to the product that way, because that way, no matter what page my product is showing up on search terms, my pay-per-click advertising will actually be on the first page. As long as I'm outbidding my competitors, my ad's going to be right there. They're going to see it, and they'll click over, and when they buy, that'll help my search ranking for that particular keyword, whatever that person typed in. So, give you a quick example if this is confusing to anybody that's new. If I'm selling a dog collar, I'll be bidding on the keyword, the phrase dog collar, and then when somebody goes to Amazon and types in dog collar in the search, my ad will actually pop up if I bid enough, and when they click on that, it brings them to my page, and when they buy that product, the term dog collar will actually rank for my product. It'll actually start moving up. You can track this. There's tracking software and tracking services that can show you where your products rank in terms of search terms. And that's cool. Eventually you want to get to the first page so that you don't have to pay for clicks anymore. People will just type in a search term and boom, there you are. Your product's right there. You'll get organic sales, right? And organic sales, that's just a term that means, you're not paying for the clicks. People are finding you naturally, seeing your product without any kind of paid advertising. I know I'm jumping back and forth. It's kind of hard to focus just on one thing since they're all tied in together. The reviews with pay-per-click and why you need reviews in the first place, because it relates to search results and so forth. So I kind of jump around, and I know that I'm only kind of just touching on each thing. So eventually I'll do a podcast that really dives into the nitty-gritty, gets into something very deeply where we can talk about reviews or pay-per-click or whatever it might be a little bit more in detail, with more examples and so forth. But that's kind of the process. Get some reviews going, get some ratings, get your product to show 5 stars. Then we're going to start manipulating the pricing. The first month, my goal is to establish myself. I want to have the product actually showing up in the search results on the first page for all of my main keywords. And this might mean that I don't really make that much money the first month. I'll hopefully sell out on everything that I have, but if I don't make that much money, it's okay as long as I've positioned myself to really take advantage of all the profits the next month. So in addition to giving away stuff for free, or not free, but at a really discounted rate, I'm losing money there. Then I will actually price my product at launch to be lower than my competitors, okay? Especially while I'm building up my ratings. So if they're at $29.99, I'll be at $27.99, because let's face it, if somebody is buying a widget and that widget is a little bit cheaper over here and this person has 10 reviews and the other one has 25 reviews, but they both look pretty much the same and they look good, you're probably going to go for the cheaper one. And that's my goal. And I actually have done that, and it works phenomenally well. I don't have to go that far below my competitors' prices. And oftentimes I don't have to go to the lowest price of everybody that's selling. I just have to go below the one that's selling the most, the dominant company that's selling my product. So if I go just a little bit below them, the goal is to eventually start creeping that price back up, right? You want to start getting sales, start ranking your search terms, and then as that's happening, you start increasing your price. Your reviews are still coming in on a regular basis. And once I see my products showing organically for search terms on page 1, page 2, I'm moving up. I'm tracking this. Now I can start raising the price a little bit. I want to start making some profit, right? I don't want to be at a deficit the whole time. And eventually, through price increases, I'll get back to where I need to be. and by then I should be solid. And that's what I did with some of my products that are doing really well. And I actually got them to the point where I can actually sell them for more than my competitors because my listings look better than theirs do, even though the product is essentially the same thing, the only difference being the brand. I was selling one of my products for $8 more than everybody else, like everybody. And this was on a they were selling their products for about $25. So it's not like there was it was like a $100 product or anything like that. It was $25. I was selling mine over $30, and I was still selling nonstop. In fact, I sold out. So that's the only reason it stopped. So we've got the pricing figured out. Now you need to set goals. What should you do with your product? What's the goal? How many units do you want to actually reach per month in sales? And then when do you expand? When do you get your next product? What I always tell everybody when they're first starting out is that they should focus on getting a single product, whatever their first product is, up to about 500 sales per month. Okay? I tell them to focus on that one product. You want to get it up to about 500 per month before you even consider another product. Okay? 500 is not a lot. You're talking about, 16 sales per day. That's the minimum, I think. Okay? And I know a lot of people train people differently. Some people will say you've got to get up to, 30 per day or 20 per day. Everybody's a little different. Mine is 500 per month on the very bottom end, right? Granted, I would like to get to about 1,000 per month. Okay? That's pushing it over 30 units per day. So somewhere in between there is what your goal should be. If you focus just on that one product, you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish, right? Because that's all you have to worry about. Let me give you an example. Let's just say that you're a dog walker and you've got one dog that you're going to take to the park and you're going to play with this dog, right? Easy. You only need to watch that one dog. You're only playing with that one dog. So the quality time between you and the dog is awesome, right? It's fantastic. The dog's got your undivided attention. It's safe. It won't get into trouble. You're good. Now, let's just back up a little. Imagine if you have 6 dogs, right? You're expanding your business quickly, okay? Now it has gotten, honestly, exponentially harder to manage all of them. The time that you spend with each of the dogs goes way down. You've got 6 of them, so you might miss something. You're almost for sure going to miss something, with one of the dogs because you're trying to focus on all of them at once. Okay, so the same is true with a product line. If you've got 4, 5, 6 products at a time, your focus is, it's divided. It's tough. So you've got to start with one product. That's what I say. Now, I know that's not what I did, but I would say that I approach this a little bit differently. I have some help. I can network with some really good people. I have a lot of experience with online sales and marketing from the past. I had the finances already built up from my app business to help fund multiple things. So if you want to do it, you can. I can tell you it was kind of a nightmare time because I bit off more than I could chew, honestly. I got through it finally, but it was just crazy hours and it was just nuts. Now, it makes for awesome podcasting because I've got a lot of stories. I've gone through everything. It's just nuts. But if I was going to tell anybody that I cared about, that wanted to get into this, what they should do, one product. That's what I'd say. One product, focus, get it up to about 500 sales per month. And then from there, decide whether you want to keep pushing or move on to the second product. I know for me and probably for a lot of people that are entrepreneurs, we're eager. We want to grow quickly. We see success right away. I'm like, wow, all right, if we can get this kind of success from one product, what happens if I bring in another product, 2 or 3 products, right? But think about it. There's issues with this. Problem number 1, your marketing efforts and the time for marketing are now split. You can't focus all your marketing on one product, okay? Problem number 2, you've got to keep tabs on your competition, right? So now you're keeping tabs on multiple competitors. Everything's doubled if you've got 2 products. It's tripled if you've got 3. So tracking your sales, your customer follow-ups, your inventory, shipping, all of that stuff, it's multiplied, it's doubled, it's tripled, depending on, again, how many products you've got. All right, so your reviews, let's talk about that. If you've got more than one product, now you've got to spend twice as much money, twice as much time, twice as much effort to get your initial reviews and sales promotions on these products going. Your pay-per-click, You're going to have to really start splitting your attention and your focus on pay-per-click. I mean, pay-per-click by itself can take all day, at least initially when you're really trying to drill down and get it right. And I'm not talking about, I have a lot of people that say, oh yeah, I only spend a little bit of time. I drove my pay-per-click up to over $500 per day real quickly and started making a lot of money. It was really profitable. So if you do things right, you can just make a ton of money through advertising on pay-per-click with Amazon, but you've got to do it right, and it's hard to do when you've got more than one product. So anyway, focus on that one product, get it up to about 500 sales per month minimum, and then keep pushing. There's no sense in expanding if you're still growing that business quickly. You're going to know when it's time to switch, right? Switch over to a new product. I shouldn't say switch, when you're going to add an additional product to your product line, because you're going to see a diminishing return on the amount of time and investment that you're putting into actually growing it. So if you're seeing a nice growth curve and eventually you're like, man, I'm putting in, tons and tons of time and I'm just not seeing any kind of growth, maybe that's the time to push on to the next product. That makes sense? I hope it does. If you want to ignore all this, right? If you don't like sleep, or you love challenges, or you are a master multitasker, or you have the infrastructure in place with employees, all of that, then absolutely go for more than one product. Lots of people do it. I did it. But if you want to keep things simple, this is your first time actually doing this on Amazon, then one product is the safest and easiest way to go. And trust me, guys, there are tons of people with only one product. That's it, one product, and they're crushing it, okay? They're doing 5, even 6 figures per month, maybe even more. I don't know guys that are doing 7 figures per month on one product, but I know there are people out there that are doing that easily. So one product can essentially make you wealthy if you find the right product and you manage it correctly and just go from there. Once you're at a point to expand into your second product or even third product, you need to figure out what you want to do, right? So what I recommend, if possible, is to expand into the same niche that your first product's in, okay? It allows you to get Amazon to recommend your other products or your let's say your second product after a person has purchased your first product. Or even when looking at your first product, Amazon oftentimes will say a lot of people buy product A and product B at the same time. What if both of those products are yours? You're just increasing your sales automatically, right? I know you've seen this. I get it all the time. And just kind of keep an eye out for what people are buying after they buy your product. It'll show, people that have bought your product have also bought this product. That could be an opportunity there. Take a look at that. If you are selling a salt shaker, maybe your next product should be a pepper shaker. And then maybe the product after that should be a pepper grinder. You see where I'm going with this? You want to keep expanding into complementary products within the niche, because one sale for one of the products can lead into additional sales for your other products. It's free advertising and money from Amazon, potentially. That's exactly my plan. I plan on expanding out any of my product lines that are doing well. I'm going to be expanding out into additional products within that same niche, right? So going back to what my original goals were, I had 2 goals essentially. Okay, so my first goal, which I mentioned in episode 1, was to shoot for $25,000 in sales over a 90-day period. Okay, I set this goal pretty low. I think it's pretty low based on previous experiences where I've done online sales, but I wanted to ensure that I hit these milestones that I'm setting up. Okay, and at 25,000 over 90 days, it seemed pretty doable, right? It feels good when you hit those goals, and then I can set bigger goals as I grow. And then my second goal was to hit 500 sales per month. I keep saying per day, 500 sales per month at a minimum. Even though that was a written goal, my unspoken goal was to hit 30 sales per day. Okay, I want to get to about 900 and 1,000 sales per month on a particular product. And I've actually done this. I did this with 2 of the products that I have. I was very close. I did 750 units of each product before I ran out of stock. So I would have hit the 900, the 30 per day. I was doing 30 per day, more than 30 per day when I ran out of stock. So I'm working on other products as I speak, and yeah, I'm going to be sharing the details with you guys. So I'll be honest though, guys, I did have those 2 products that hit those goals that I wanted, but I've got 2 other products, for example, that were generating less than 10 sales per day, 10 units per day, right? And it was frustrating. It was really frustrating. And I was running pay-per-click advertising towards them, and I was trying to build it up. And I actually could drive the sales up to just about whatever I wanted, right? But the problem was that my costs were spiraling out of control for that particular product. The cost of each sale through pay-per-click was like over 50% of the product's sale price. So it was nuts. I mean, I didn't even have a 50% profit margin in that product at all. So it just didn't make any sense. So that's a product where I was actually losing money, and it sucks to have to do it, but at some point, if you do have a loser of a product, you've got to know when to let go. So I'm going to dump these 2 products. I've already stopped all pay-per-click advertising on it, and then they're going to run until just naturally, organically, until inventory runs out, and then that's it. But my other products, they're jamming. Like I said, it's kind of a bummer because I ran out of stock. I didn't expect to sell them out so quick, but it was amazing. And I'm going to be sharing those results with you very, very soon here, because I think they're impressive and inspiring, and I actually want to talk about them. So, guys, that's all I've got. I'm going to be doing a few more episodes here. I call them the beginner series to get people, going on Amazon, what they need to do to get everything running. So if you're liking these episodes, please do let me know. Please go to the website, ampmpodcast.com, and leave me some feedback. Let me know what you think, what you want to see, anything you don't like. That's especially helpful. And if you really like the podcast, do subscribe and then review them here on iTunes or wherever it is that you're pulling the podcast from. That will help me out as well. So, all right, guys, I will talk to you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the AM/PM podcast hosted by Manny Coates. For more information, insider tools, and to get the resources mentioned in this episode, visit ampmpodcast.com.